So today we're going to be talking about how AI might actually be changing the art industry in a good way. And for some of you, you might be wondering, how could AI ever be a good thing? And for me personally, I'm just going to be speaking out of my personal experiences as a professional artist that has both worked in the studios and as a freelancer, to now just kind of doing my own thing, and how, I guess, despite in the light of AI uprising, there are still some lights at the end of the tunnel, even for someone like me, and maybe it could even be a light at the end of the tunnel for you. So of course, there's already some places where AI has really infiltrated and affected other artists, especially when it comes to companies and studios unexpectedly laying off artists with AI and replacing them with AI for either portions or the entirety of some of their projects. A lot of social media platforms have also just been scraping the works of other artists without their consent and using it to train their own AI. Some art schools have even been teaching other students and aspiring artists how to use AI, which can debatably be a good or bad thing. And some other people out there are just straight up using AI and claiming it as their own artwork, or stealing the work of other artists to create their own. And there's just a lot of complications there when it comes to the ethics of it. And what we already know that's kind of being done is that contracts and negotiations are either in place or in the works to help regulate how much of AI can be used. There are platforms and tools out there such as Kara, Nightshade, and Glaze, and a tool called Have I Been Trained for artists to use as their own resource to protect their artwork or to see if their art has been used to train AI. And these things can help combat some of the negative impacts of AI in the art world. Artists and people in general, I feel like, have been pretty vocal about it and been standing up against AI being used in bad ways. But most importantly, when it comes to artists specifically, I feel like a lot of artists these days have been showing up more in this world as who they really are outside of their artwork. So before, when I was growing up as a young teen online, most people would kind of just hide behind their art and use their art to represent who they are, especially on platforms like DeviantArt, Tumblr, and even the beginning stages of Instagram. But more and more lately, I find that a lot of artists are starting to show who they are outside of their artwork. They let people know the behind the scenes of their art. They let them know who they are as a human, and maybe some of their life experiences and personalities that really influence their art at the end of the day. So I find that while AI definitely is just gonna be around for the foreseeable future for now, at the same time, I do think that this has raised the value of the humanity behind the artists. And there are still platforms out there today that support that, such as the sponsor of today's video, Penji. So Penji helps creators and business owners with graphic design services with real-life artists from their in-house creative teams. So even if you're already an artist yourself, you might still need the help of a designer when it comes to graphic designing for your brand or business. For me, I am hosting an art retreat to Japan, and by the time this video is out, I'm already in Japan, but I wanted help to design a logo that would represent this trip and possibly help inspire future trips. All I had to do was submit a design project on Penji's platform, get assigned to an artist, and they came back to me in a matter of less than 2 days with multiple options for the design. So the great thing about Penji is that you can have as many revisions as you want until you're satisfied with your design. But I personally found that the artists I worked with understood the assignment so well that I didn't even need to do more than 2 revisions. I feel like the thing that's nice about Penji is that at the end of the day, you're working with and supporting real-life artists out there, and you have 100% ownership of all of the original source files created for your projects. So if you do want to try out a demo of Penji yourself, check them out down in the links below. And note that 10% of all of their monthly profits do go back to the community behind Penji. Anyway, thanks to Penji for sponsoring this video, and also just supporting human artists out there. At the end of the day, there are things that you can't control about what AI will do, such as if it takes over your job, if it steals your art, and if there's a lack of jobs and opportunities out there now thanks to AI. But there are still some things artists still fully have control of even when AI is existent, such as continuing to show up to keep making art, creating opportunities for yourself even if it's not what you originally planned, and lastly, using art as a way to express your perspective or your perception from your life experiences, which is something that AI still cannot really do right now. No one can really speak for you other than yourself, and you choose art as the vehicle of your communication, and that's something that all of us as people still very much have control of. So have you noticed that when it comes to music artists, there's more of an emphasis in how their personal life stories ultimately affect their music and their art, and that kind of increases the value of it. People love music artists who share a bit of their personal life stories behind their music, and I think the same is gonna go for visual art. I think that there's been less of a value behind visual arts in the past, but I think that it's kind of been increasing as time goes on. When it comes to just, your average day person sharing their art online, like I think in the past, more traditional fine artists would gain recognition. And nowadays, I think anybody can really create that opportunity for themselves, especially with the internet. More people these days are showcasing their hobbies and passions online. And with that, you open up a door for yourself to have a platform if you do choose to show up to that platform each and every day. Okay, maybe not every day, but like most days. And also, based on a little bit of a search I did, art career has been a growing trending topic in the past 5 years, and more people are starting to share their personal art careers online. And even if it's not like a visual art career, it's something that is either creative or artsy. There's a quote I recently heard about how being an artist isn't performing a miracle to wow people. You are just showing people what you are doing. And I feel like I've really resonated with this quote the past few months, because I used to think that you have to make art that really just stuns people and just makes them feel so impacted, which, if it does do that, that's great. But at the end of the day, I think people are more in awe of you just doing your thing. And that, of course, is going to depend on what audience you as an artist and your work reaches out to. I personally would really lean into how your art showcases your human side or your human experiences. And I think we're gonna see more and more people do that in the upcoming years. So you might be wondering, if you want to get started in something like this, where you want to showcase more of your human sides as an artist, whether if that's on a social media platform, the internet, or your website, or even offline, here are just some of my suggestions and tips to do that. So if I were to consolidate the major social media platforms to use, at the end of the day, I would still stick to Instagram and YouTube. I think that Instagram, while it still is kind of problematic in the sense that they have a very unreliable algorithm, and recently it's been revealed that they do scrape other people's work online, at the end of the day, I still think it is one of the social media platforms that will still bring more outreach to viewers to see your art, more so than other platforms. And then YouTube in general, I think, has always been a pretty solid platform for creators, especially when it comes to monetization. And I do feel like sometimes showcasing yourself in a video just allows more chances for people to get to know who you are. So going back to Instagram, this is the place where you would mostly just share your art or make announcements to your community. Then next, on YouTube, I think that this is mostly for people who want to showcase more of themselves outside of their artwork, because let's be real, when you make videos online, you can't just be showing your artwork only. You have to kind of do videos or showcase a bit of yourself, and you have more of that long form opportunity to showcase yourself as an artist. I think on YouTube Shorts, or even back on Instagram Reels, that's the place to show like the consolidated SparkNotes versions of your YouTube videos. When it comes to showcasing yourself as an artist, it might be difficult to really consolidate what about your life or what about you as an artist is worth sharing online that you would hope would either perform well or really bring value to an audience. Because I know there are some people out there who, at the end of the day, if it's not going to bring in any views or attention, why would I keep posting if I really need this to run my business? So some of the popular topics that I could think of that I tend to see perform well with artists are art tips and tutorials, the behind the scenes of running a small business, art career or industry advice, or vlogs that skew more towards showcasing the artist's lifestyle. So while it's great to have a platform online, I also think, again, to emphasize the human aspect of being an artist these days is also physically showing up for your audience, which does mean that maybe hosting a meet and greet in real life or doing something where you actually get to meet the people behind your work could help really further benefit your brand or your small business. Because when you think about yourself buying something from someone, do you feel better purchasing something knowing it's helping someone you might know of out there? Or do you feel better kind of just purchasing something from a random factory with some ambiguous name? I think most people would choose knowing that their money is going to support someone. That's why I think that there is a benefit of hosting in real life events. Some of these examples could be hosting a Discord or Patreon groups where you have an opportunity to literally interact with your audience via messaging or video calls. Recently, with our art career journeys in Japan retreats, we've been doing video calls on Discord almost on a weekly basis to kind of just keep everyone up to date with the latest itinerary, but also as an icebreaker so that we all get to know each other. You can also host workshops, courses, or teaching events in real life. And I think a lot of people think that these things might be really difficult to organize, but sometimes it might just be a matter of booking a conference room in a hotel and just getting people to show up there, depending on the level of complexity of your workshop, of course. And then lastly, as I mentioned, something that has been very new to the art community is hosting these art retreats abroad where you get to travel with some of your favorite artists, learn from them, learn from their experiences, and also just meet other artists who have been a part of this community that you've also been a part of. So I think that these are just some ways that people can really emphasize the human aspect behind being an artist, and I think that there's more value brought to it these days because AI has been a thing. And there are some people out there who can't tell the difference between AI art and art that's actually made by a human, but I think that some people love the idea of knowing that the artwork that they like and support is made by a real-life human. So if you don't know where to start because maybe everything I just mentioned is very overwhelming, some ways you can begin this process is to just start filming your everyday process of creating your artwork. Start filming things like creating the art itself, participating in any activities that help inspire your art, or any key parts or elements of your life and routine. Then next is keep a folder or hard drive of all of these video files you just recorded just to stay organized, because even if you can't film a video that day, you can always just record a voiceover and use all of those clips you recorded as the B-roll for it. And then lastly is somewhere I would kind of keep a list of different topics that you think other people would find valuable, but would also be of interest to you, because I think this whole online thing at the end of the day is kind of a trade-off where you do need to be supported as an artist. So you want to provide things that people would actually be interested in, but also without sacrificing too much of what you actually want to do. Like for me, for example, I don't really like doing art tutorials, so the least I can do is just make videos where I talk about my art career journey. So other than that, I hope that this video kind of gave a little bit of hope to those who don't really know what to do, especially now that AI is kind of a thing. At the end of the day, I still think there will always be art jobs available. It's just maybe what it might look like might be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, nobody can really take away the fact that you can create opportunities for yourself, especially when we have technology like the internet these days. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you all in the next one.